in strong condemnation regarding this issue and clears our names as a Muslim community. Alhamdulillah, and you've come to the fore. So your thoughts on the matter?
Look, let's dissect this issue. In the first instance, when this cautionary notice came out, it came out from the U.S. Embassy. And having heard our intelligence minister, Zizi Kodwa, he said that the first time he heard of it was on Twitter. Now, the message went as follows, that there was a cautionary notice for American citizens. Now, that number one to me is problematic. What about the rest of us? You know, what is it only for American citizens, or is it for everyone else? So do we not matter in this equation as South Africans? And the message said clearly that there was evidence that there was going to be a terror attack in the Johannesburg area, and specifically in Sandton. They did not say that it was at the gay parade, that march that was going to be held there. But that was the American notice that went out, right? Now, that's the first part of it. Thereafter, and this is what was concerning many of us, is that News 24 then reported that they, it was to the gay parade march, and Nick Rabinowitz, who is a Jewish comedian, who, by the way, I've seen two of his shows, and I think he's one of the best comedians in this country, that those were the targets. Now, News 24 then claimed that they had evidence from certain people in the crime intelligence that there were 7 IS members who were supposed to be carrying out this attack. Now, the American embassy didn't say that. Now, so that's what I'm saying. There's two sides of the story. 24 is now saying it. So from my understanding of the anti-terror bill is that if you have any evidence of someone who's going to be carrying out an attack, and if you do not give that to the authorities, then you are liable to be prosecuted. So in my opinion, News 24 has a case to answer here, because they said that, the attack was yes, there was supposed to be they did have a gay parade march there in Sandton, and the Nick Rabinowitz show. So the point is, what evidence do they have? They can't just claim unnamed sources from crime intelligence have said that. And having said that, I must tell you that the leader of Al Jamaa, Hanif Hendrik, they are now taking News 24 to the press ombudsman for what they perceive to be, biased reporting. And I think well done to Al Jamaa for having taken up that. And I know of other people, individuals, who are also going to be taking News 24 to the press ombudsman. So the situation, in my opinion, is as follows, that the American embassy gave out one notice and News 24 gave out another. Now, having said that, if the Americans had evidence that there was going to be a bomb attack, why didn't they relate it to our authorities? And the president even came out and said, on a similar note, that, they weren't aware of this. So why wouldn't they give it to our authorities and then tackle it from there? And if the perpetrators were known, have them arrested. Now, a similar notice went out. The Americans put out an alert to Nigeria the past weekend, and a similar thing happened there. And there was no attack there. The point is now, and then all fingers get pointed at IS and Muslims as such, that we are targeting this. The gay parade was there. They have been having their marches for many years, and you might not agree with them, but there were no bomb attacks on them or whatever. And the focus then shifts on the Muslim community, and therein to some of us, so all of us should have a problem with that. And that is the situation as we talk.
Okay, so Yunus, there is another perspective on this story. Independent security experts believe that information would have been shared with the country, but there's no guarantee it was shared with the right people, or that it would have made its way through the appropriate networks, suggesting that our security systems and security apparatus in the country is really very weak. They cite last year's unrest, the July unrest in KZN, saying a similar thing happened, and look what were the end results regarding that unrest. Either people were too complacent, or for whatever reason, maybe they were pro-Zuma, pro-KZN, whatever the issues were, governments sat on their hands, and we've never seen the type of large-scale infrastructure damage and looting like we saw last year in July. So if you make a comparison, can we then perhaps come to the conclusion that our security forces, our security people, departments, and our and SAPs are just not up to it as far as these issues are concerned? And I know the situations are totally different. Alhamdulillah, there was absolutely no disruption over the weekend, but just perhaps if they were astute enough, perhaps they could have dug deeper into this matter and we would have gotten more clarity and perhaps the facts to hand.
Well, I would say yes and no. In terms of the embassy, American embassy, they could have given that evidence if they had it to Dirko, who would have directed them right to the top. Now, when I say yes, what we saw last year in KZN was totally unacceptable, but to say that our agencies are totally useless, I would say no. Why I'm saying so is that just 2 weeks ago, you would recall that Pastor Harry Knudsen of the National Christian Resistance Movement, also known as the Crusaders, was given 2 life sentences. And what was his crime? Him and a group of people who tried to, had amassed a whole lot of weapons and were trying to overthrow this government. And it was the intelligence services who were tipped off about that, and they arrested them with weapons, and he was sentenced 2 weeks ago. So now, to say that our intelligence services are totally useless is not true also. So how were these people arrested? And in the sentencing of Harry Knudsen, therein lies another problem, right? Even the judge at his trial of Harry Knudsen said that Harry Knudsen sought to justify his beliefs on religious grounds. Why is it, we need to ask ourselves this question, why is it that in the case of Harry Knudsen and others, for example, the Boeremark, they're always referred to as right-wing extremists? Here's a person who's now claiming to fight his struggle, whatever his struggle is, on religious grounds. Why was Harry Knudsen, show me one media in this country, let alone overseas in this country, that referred to him as a Christian fundamentalist terrorist? He was out there to obliterate all black people, his organization, to cause mayhem in this country and take over this country. That was his goal. And he fought his struggle from what he perceived to be from the Bible. Now, why wasn't he referred to as a Christian fundamentalist terrorist? I'm yet to see one media organization in this country, I'm talking of non-Muslim media, who would refer to them as that. But yet, if any Muslim person may not be from a religious angle, does anything, immediately you'll hear on radio stations and mass media that this person was a Muslim. He may not be even a practicing Muslim if he did committed any crime, if you know what I'm saying. So we as Muslims need to be, we must get out of this complacency. We need to be cognizant of what is happening here, because the media is so powerful that they can control your mind, and they can
absolutely
think for you and take up things. So that's why what I'm saying is, to say that our agencies are totally useless, I don't think it's true.
Okay, and then I think it's up to you and, Muslim media in the country to start changing that narrative. Every time we come across a story where the term terrorist is used, we immediately need to change the wording and disseminate the wording as per as you've just indicated regarding this Afrikaner, and refer to the story very especially when Muslims are involved, and refer to it as right-wing extremists rather than terrorists. That being said, I also understand that sources within the security sector that spoke to a newspaper said or speculated that there may have been an ulterior motive by the United States in issuing this particular alert. And this does sound a bit far-fetched, but let's engage anyway on the matter. And their motive, the United States motive, could be setting the groundwork for installing a military presence in South Africa. Do you think that there's merit in that comment, or do you believe it's way too off track?
When it comes to the superpowers, you can't write off anything. I mean, if you look at South America, whether it was in Venezuela or Nicaragua or elsewhere, the Americans, the CIA, have been involved in covert operations there. So the fact is, in this country, we must understand that we have freedoms in this country. People have had numerous marches to whichever embassy, whether it's the American embassy or the Israeli embassy or wherever. And by and large, there haven't been any bombs or whatever going off. Now, my biggest fear is, that yes, we must acknowledge that this country has got foreign intelligence agents that are active, very active in this country. And God forbid that, one of these in a covert operation, a bomb goes off somewhere. And the next thing is, what will the question be? We told you so, and this has happened. We know that the Israelis, for example, have been active in Lebanon and elsewhere, in Iran at the moment, what they're doing with the scientists there. And these are all covert operations. So when it comes to these cautionary notices and actions of other countries, we need to be very, very alert and aware of what is happening around the world. And hopefully it does not happen here, because should something like that happen here and then fingers get pointed in one direction only, and there comes the media, the mass media, and then say, yeah, this is exactly what is happening. And like I'm coming back to my initial question, is South African media by and large has to be, they must do their own introspection. I'm talking now as a Muslim, we need to be active. We need to get out of this complacency thing that we just sit by and listen. Sometimes you hear the news, you'll watch television, it's utter nonsense what they're talking, but the question is then, what are you and I doing about it? And
so, Eunice, let me come in here. We have a few lone voices. I could be wrong. Please correct me if I am wrong. We have a few lone voices like yours, Eunice Suleiman, and a few others. We have Media Review Network. You saying it's just not enough. What more ought we as a community be doing to turn that narrative around, knowing that a lot of South African Muslims are also very pro-Palestine, and we try and keep the Palestinian issue in the forefront, and try to let the world know what exactly are the atrocities being perpetrated on those people, and of course the Uyghur Muslims in China and the Rohingya and so many other issues all around the world. What more ought we be doing?
When I say in terms of the activist groupings and whatever they are doing, yes, a lot of them are doing a very good work. What I'm saying is that the biased reporting from a lot of the media houses and how they portray situations, for example, like this terror alert over the weekend, or on other issues on the reporting, for example, like, when they refer to as Muslims are immediately labeled as Muslim fundamentalist terrorists, and Islam becomes the focus, rather than, in this case, Harry Knudsen, for example, is referred to as a right-wing extremist. So I'm saying that terminology is used, and when we have so many organizations amongst the Muslims, we need to be proactive like other communities do. Take it to the task. If it means taking media houses, taking them to court or whatever and making them change the attitude, we should do that. We shouldn't sit back and just say, no, we know the media are biased. And that's a normal story you hear. Go to anywhere, sit in any meeting, sit with any group of people. Yes, the media is biased. But what are you doing about it? Speak out against it, write against it, or take it to court, or do whatever, but be proactive. That is what I'm saying, is sitting back. Yes, organizations like Media Review Network, who spend a lot of their time fighting these types of inaccuracies in the media, but it doesn't only rely on a few individuals and one or two organizations. Everyone has to be proactive here and take a stance, or push our organizations to do something tangible to get results, and force, in certain cases, media houses to apologize and to change their reporting or their stances and how they report issues.
Okay, can I ask you please to, Yunus, can I ask you to please indulge us for a few minutes longer? But we do need to take an ad break first. Can I come back to you with a few more questions before we wrap up on this interview? Jazakallah.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
For every child who lost a parent.
For every refugee who lost their home.
For every community without water.
For every person searching for a way to give, Africa Muslims Agency has been at your service for 35 years, connecting hearts and changing lives. Thank you for helping us to serve the needy since 1987. Support our journey by donating to Africa Muslims Agency as we commemorate 35 years of empowering, educating, and inspiring.
Online schooling? Why not? Kurtuba Online Academy is the leading global online Islamic school from grade R to matric, offering South African caps and international syllabus. And it doesn't stop there. We also offer online madrasa for every grade. For more information, visit www.kurtubaonline.co.za. Kurtuba Online Academy, the leading global online Islamic school.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity.
The alliance between Morocco and Israel is an alliance between two occupiers, shamelessly occupying the land of the others, shamelessly violating the international law, the humanitarian law, abusing people, stealing their natural resources, and making a mockery of any resolution of United Nations or African Union. Morocco has both the recognition of Israel to his occupation by the occupation of Israeli to the Palestinian land. This criminal regime of Morocco, who has kept blocked from every country in North Africa, have allied himself with French colonialism, with Israeli occupation of Palestine, with French colonialism of the whole Maghreb, with apartheid South Africa. It again continues its criminal crusade against the people of Sahrawi Republic who only want to live in peace and freedom.
The ambassador of the Sahrawi Republic to South Africa, Ambassador Mohammed Jaslim Baisat.
Tune into Salam Media via audio stream or watch live facebook.com/Salam Media.
Did you know that through Sanzaf, you can provide a meal to an individual for only 12 Rand? By committing to a monthly contribution, you can assist us in reaching out to more communities and deserving individuals. A once-off donation will also be highly appreciated in helping us achieve our monthly target. For more information, call us on 011-834-6046. Sanzaf, changing lives through development and relief.
With so many investment options today, it's only natural that you might feel a little confused which route to take. Should I buy shares or should I invest in gold bullion? Randery Jewelers now brings you the Zahab coin, an alternative to the Kruger Rand. The Zahab coin, a solid wealth protector in its purest form of 24-karat gold, is the safest way to protect your wealth. So don't just sit there and watch your paper money depreciate. Change to gold. Call Randery Jewelers now at 031 202 4701 or visit www.rjcoin.co.za, situated at 151 Essenwood Road, Musgrave, Durban. Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust. Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Welcome back. We are going to be talking with Salih Suleiman, President of the Minara Chamber of Commerce, about the Minara Business Awards, which happened on a Friday night. But right now we're talking to Yunus Suleiman. He's a community activist, and we are talking about the terrorism warnings over the weekend here in South Africa, particularly in Sandton, Johannesburg, and how we as Muslims should start changing the narrative of the term, very especially when it involves Muslim people, Muslim activists, and the Muslim community at large, to rephrase the narrative rather than using the word terrorism. Let's think about other words that we can use to show respect to the Muslim community in large and not paint us all with the same brush. Yunus, welcome back. Nice talking with you. We talk about an apology. We're expecting an apology from News 24 and other organizations that have probably created a bit of panic regarding this situation. What about government? Was it enough that Cyril Ramaphosa issued a statement saying that there was nothing to be concerned about? Where to from here regarding this issue? Once again, the question is an apology enough?
Well, that question was directed to the U.S. government, so that's government to government. No, I mean, Ramaphosa's statement in the court was for the American embassy. Fully so. They should have communicated that information to them and taken it from them. Just to put out a cautionary, I mean, for example, them putting it in 4 or 5 other countries followed the Americans. Now, you know, that clearly affects tourism, it affects the country, it affects the economy, and it affects everyone else, ordinary people who are scared to go in, for example, in the precincts of Sandton to do shopping or whatever the case may be, thinking there's going to be a bomb blast going off there. So certain things which are government to government, I don't think it's the ordinary man in the street is privy to that information, but channels have to be followed. Merely just saying that, so what happens, let's just go on the other side and say, what happens tomorrow if the South African government puts out an alert and says, we've got credible information that there's going to be a huge bomb blast in Washington tomorrow. I mean, will the Americans accept that? You know, so this thing of we just bowing down to his master's voice and then sitting where we need to speak out against it. If it's wrong, we need to speak out against it. And we should be doing that. And we shouldn't just be sitting back and saying, no, because the Americans said we must believe whatever they say. And no, I don't buy that theory.
And Yunus, as you rightly point out, huge ripple effects, because I think people are still overseas, would-be visitors, tourists to the country, already still have the July unrest in the back of their minds. And then the issue around the high crime rates, the German tourist that was killed near the Kruger National Park just a few weeks ago. And now what this type of an issue, these type of comments by the US embassy, and I understand other embassies also followed suit immediately after this alert was put out by the US embassy. Other European embassies also alerted their nationals in the country about the same issue. So the ripple effects can be very, very damaging for our economy.
Exactly. Therefore I say it was, in my opinion, irresponsible of the manner in which it was done. You know, so they should have contacted the government. And my problem is when they ask their citizens to be on and take cautionary notice. What about you and I? I'm sure you.
We don't matter. We don't matter. We brown and black people.
No, exactly.
We in a country in Africa.
So like in America, black lives, don't matter is here. So everyone else's lives everyone else's lives matter in this country, and that is the question I'm raising. And to me, that's highly problematic. And we need to be alert. We need to speak out if there's an injustice, whoever it may be, or even if it's amongst ourselves, we need to speak out against it. Or if it's a foreign government, we need to speak out. Merely just being complacent, and like I'm repeating, the complacency that I see in the Muslim community on many issues is very saddening, because we've now taken this thing that let's just sit back, relax, and no. We are citizens of this country. We are equal citizens of this country. We need to be treated as such, and we need to be alert all the time, take action wherever it's necessary, whatever action, like I say, whether it's against the media. And the media is a powerful concept in this country, where they control, the media can actually control your mind. It's because of what they say and how they say it. Sometimes you'll just sit back and say, no, what they're saying is the truth. Maybe in many instances, it's not the truth. And question then arises, what are you doing about it? And yes, everyone can't talk about it, but at least push your organizations to do something about it. Whether it's going to meet government or going to the media houses or pushing people to go to courts, we must do that.
Yunus, that's
not good
Alhamdulillah,
enough.
that's where we're going to leave it. I think the other powerful tool we have at our disposal as a Muslim community is our members. And these are the type of conversations and talks and khutbahs that need to be shared with our community on a Friday. I don't believe you have a more powerful platform than our members, and we need to start pushing it. But shukran very much indeed for being with us on the show this morning. Yunus Suleiman, community activist, talking about the terrorist warning issued by the US government regarding supposed targets in the Sandton area over the weekend. May all your efforts be accepted, Yunus, and alhamdulillah, may your voice be heard loud and clear and as far afield as possible. Go well, and salamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam, shukran.
Okay, standing by at 8:47 is Solly Suleiman. He's with the Menara Chamber of Commerce. We're going to talk about that glittering affair that happened Friday night in KZN. So please stand by.